Hunters, 20% no droids and bounty hunters, no Raylos, no Ray Nobodies. It's a flat hair day, I see. So, anyway, just gonna have to get used to it. Anyway, no Ray Nobodies, no Kyle Ron fans of any kind, no High Republic fans, no Disney canon fans of any kind. Today, ladies and gentlemen, for your entertainment, was discovered back in January that apparently, hey Scori, that apparently Pablo Hidalgo had a self-insert to the High Republic. He was the Jedi architect of Starlight Beacon, the temple on Starlight Beacon, named Pablo Hidalgo. Wait, there's more. There's another character who is named for him. It's a name I cannot describe, but let's go. Maybe I've got it here somewhere so we can go and check it out. Okay, so let's see. Anyway, what's going on? So it's very interesting to me that they put him on there, and Charles Soule basically kind of confirmed it. And then there's another tweet below it that basically said, wait, there's another character named Pablo hiding bad, named after Pablo? Yeah. So let's go. Hopefully it'll be on my cloud found it and put it on there, because I gotta tell you, man, this is the most narcissistic thing I've ever seen in my life. So here we go. My pictures. Hopefully it'll be on the cloud, because it's on my phone. Well, there is a puppy. Screenshots. Let's go here. And no, I don't see it. I did not. Oh, wait a minute. All right, we have to go down. Okay, it'll be on here. It is. Yay! You should all be very happy. All right, so okay, here we go. No, not that one. They're very small, so you're gonna have to get, here we go. So here's the other one. Get ready. Hey there, Pocket. Polab Gadalhi. I don't know. I mean, I can't. I mean, what kind of a narcissist makes it so obvious? I mean, you can't. This is so poorly. Yeah, they both are anagrams. They both are. I mean, they're both anagrams. I mean, Gadalhi is, I mean, give me a break. It's like Leox Giassi. Leo 10 is gay. Okay? It's like Paulo Heleda. You know, it's literally like, what? I find it funny, and I find it very interesting, considering that after all of a sudden, this was done last January. Okay, this last winter. Okay, when the very funny story, when the Stone Republic first came out to fanfare and people laughing. This is very interesting to me, because I'm looking at it going, he really put a lot of personal, like, this is it, man, this is my thing. A lot of personal shit into this. Oh, it's just so. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, how it's narcissistic, right? I mean, this is really, uh, but it wasn't him that made him up. It was uh, Charles Soule who did. I mean, the architect. That's just, who the fuck do you think you are? You know, this guy really does think the sun shines out of his butt crack. He is psychotic. I mean, I have no question. Um, the constant attacks on fans, the the mocking of fans, the trashing of the OT characters, and then defending it when I love Star Wars. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia Organa, Solo, you didn't love it? How do you love it? How does someone who feels that way about this franchise love the franchise if that's what they're going to do to it? Think about it. All right. This to me is very, it's indicative of the mindset that has gone into the High Republic, and it's indicative of the yeah, you're right. This guy, he wants Star Wars to be his now, which is why they basically made it so when we complained, they basically said, well, it's not for you anymore, fuck off. And then the investors are like, well, that's nice because we're not making any money now. And Pablo and the rest of them are going, so this is the guy who wanted to mulch billionaires and make an outlaw of them. All right. Money, he doesn't have any concept of earning money. And this stupid High Republic is a glorification of their selves, their egos, not Star Wars, not their job. And nobody can tell me that they care about it. Okay, nobody can tell me because this is obvious. I mean, this is more like this is like I can see the writers group, the story group hanging out together, and Pablo gets up to what? Take a dump, go get another box of fried chicken, or a big thing of ice cream or whatever. And he leaves the thing and they're like, how many different ways can we insert Pablo into this? Kind of like the guys at Warner Brothers Animation Studios back in the 50s asking out loud, how many different ways can we blow off Daffy Duck's beak? That's what this is. I mean, Polab Gadalhi? Paulo Hidella? Come on. Look, I don't mind an author's insert. I mean, George Lucas was in Revenge of the Sith. He played Baron, can I remember the character's name? The guy who wrote the opera or created the opera that Palpatine was watching, whatever that weirdness was. And it was, well, the thing about it is, there are a lot of directors of movies. Alfred Hitchcock did it too, where he would show up in the movie. He would just be there and then be gone. And Lucas showed up in that one scene with his daughter, Amanda. That was it. This is like overkill, and it's too obvious. This is how uncreative and unremarkable this is. It's really just, it's painful, but it's typical Pablo. Now, I did a music tribute, and Maze has seen it, but I have it unlisted. I'll make it public if you guys want to see it. It won't be public very long. I'll leave it up for a day because I know if Pablo sees it, he'll be all mad. Fine, I don't care. It's just I don't want to get the trolls involved. But it's really funny that this got discovered now. Hey, John 42, I'm glad you're here. Now, when all kinds of shit is going down. Not that all kinds of shit wasn't going down. I mean, to me, this whole Pablo inserted, I bet you he's in every book in some way, shape, or form. Well, somebody will go through and said, there's an anagram for his name. There's an anagram. We'll all be playing Where's Pablo? He really put everything on the line for this, and it came out so half-assed. Because, here's the deal. All right, so you put your heart and soul into it, but I don't see it. Okay, I don't see any passion in it, and there's no passion at all. Somebody, last night, and I found this really funny. I'm looking at Star Wars Theory's buddy during the conversation he was having about this, by the way. Yeah, Star Wars Theory got a hold of this after Drunk did. And, and they talked about it. Pablo the Architect, Pablo the Resistor. The guy basically said that the only movie that possibly had any soul in it was TFA. Is like, no, it didn't. It didn't have any soul. Where was the Force? Okay. See, I tried to find just that part of the discussion, Maze, and I couldn't. They wouldn't stop talking about the other thing. And I got to the point where I really didn't care about the other thing anymore. There's just so much, but back to TFA. When he said that, I'm like, there was no soul to it. Where was that? Where was the romance? Where was the emotion? I mean, the Han and Leia scenes, there might as well have been a laugh track. In fact, I dare someone to take that last scene and put a laugh track to it. Because that's how bad it was. Okay, it wasn't anywhere close to what it could have been, should have been, given the circumstances. It was like, didn't we just see this movie? Didn't we just see this movie? I was kind of in the hype too till I saw it. And then I walked away. I don't like dragging things out. I really, really don't. One of the things that drives me nuts, it's like, can we just get the conversation moving? And the reason why is, I think people want to hear what the topic is. And you want to get right to it. Okay. And that's me. When I was working in DC and I had interns working for me, they got to know that you get right to the point. And the boss appreciated it, Mr. Army and the chiefs of staff appreciated it, because I wouldn't, you don't, put it bluntly, don't dick around. And in my life, it's an economy of words, an economy of energy, and an economy of a time wasting. And when you're in a high pressure job like I was, the boss doesn't have any time to waste. All right. This is how I was trained. I don't have any time to waste. Let's get to it. But anyway, I just find it very, very funny. Yeah, you're right, Maze. You're right about all of it. The sequel trilogy, all of it was soulless. But when you watch when you watch JJ on his TED Talk talking about his goddamn mystery boxes, you suddenly realize there's someone who doesn't believe a goddamn word he says. You know, everybody in Hollywood is a phony to a certain extent. You know, there are very few. Carrie Fisher wasn't a phony. Harrison Ford's not a phony. Billy D. I mean, but these guys are not today's actors, today's directors. Ridley Scott is not a phony. Ridley Scott is one of those guys who's never had any fucks to give. Okay. Francis Ford Coppola is not a phony. Martin Scorsese is not a phony. George Lucas is not a phony. But you get J.J. Abrams there, and that piece of shit, you know, deer tick on the ass of humanity, Ruin Johnson. And the phoniness just expands. Not that there aren't any phonies that came up in the 70s and 80s. Kathleen Kennedy is the biggest phony. She lies about how she got to where she got to. She lies about how talented she is. She's got a whole mythology built up about her. It's pathetic. It is wrong. It is absolutely outrageous. And the idea that she was able to con and manipulate her world. And John Ford, oh my God. Here's a young Indiana Jones. I hope it's still on YouTube. Young Indiana Jones Chronicles called Hollywood Follies. It's on YouTube. If you want to see John Ford as a very, very young director, he started out directing silent westerns. Basically, it was like serials with Harry Carey. And the guy playing him, it was like an ode to John Ford. It was an ode. And what's really funny is it kind of mocks the auteur type of director through Erich von Stroheim. Von Stroheim not only directed movies, he played in them too. And, oh my God. If I had to spend 1 hour with that guy, I'd have killed him. I mean, it's like, you're batshit crazy, get the fuck away from me right now. John Ford was just cool. Cool as hell. And it's you know, it was an ode to him. And an ode to that kind of bigger than life filmmaking. But like there's a scene, and I think it was a Gregory Peck movie, where you see, I think it was done in Monument Valley, and you see two guys fighting, and they're about that big, and the rest of the landscape is huge. It is such a statement about how stark the landscape is, how small humanity is, and how futile our stupid arguments are when you think about it. And it was just, I mean, it's a really wonderful kind of moment captured on, I can't remember what the movie's called, but it was Gregory Peck. It wasn't anything with John Wayne. The ode to John Ford in The Mandalorian is the very first scene. They're in the bar, the door opens, and Mando's standing there. Go and watch The Searchers, and you will see the exact same scene with John Wayne. I think it's a couple of them. And then the last scene is him walking away through the door. I mean, they got that. That was literally a thank you, John Ford. We got the idea. It's just, but you guys would like that, but you know, phoniness and art don't go together. Okay, this is why we have the sequel trilogy and it's trash. This is why the High Republic is trash. Okay, again, what is the rule of thumb? You guys know that maybe it was the Big Country pocket. That it was Gregory Peck. But what is the rule of thumb here? It's not what a man says, it's what he does. Okay. Ryan Johnson can tell some, mentally unstable Raylo, oh yeah, I wanna direct Mandalorian. I was on the set and I thought it was really cool. And I asked Dave, but I'm really busy with Knives Out too, and I've got this Netflix deal. He's never gonna direct a Mandalorian spot. Even if all he did was did exactly what John Favreau told him to. Okay, he's not going to. Why? They know his name is poison anywhere near Star Wars. Okay, he has a little niche. He directs quirky, weird movies that no one wants to see. Art house trash. Let him do it. Okay. J.J. Abrams. This is a guy who actually wrote a good script in regarding Henry. Now, how much was it ghostwritten? I don't know. But when you get Harrison Ford involved, it's that good. That movie was great. He should have been nominated for an Academy Award. I keep thinking, where did that J.J. Abrams go? All right, where did he go? I would like that J.J. Abrams to come back. I think we all would. Hey, Senator Dave. And then, of course, we got Pablo Hidalgo, who you would think he would feel like he owed Harrison Ford, no, George Lucas, some fealty, some loyalty, some, yeah, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be talking about Star Wars. If it wasn't for him, this company wouldn't exist. Instead, you know, he shits all over everything. And the reason why is because he didn't do it. He didn't make it. A narcissist is made, not born. I think he is too, Carl, but I don't, you know, there's a way to do that, and then there's a way to care and to actually be an artist. George Lucas did it. He sat down and wrote script overviews for the OT and the prequels, and then fleshed everything out. Things got changed, things got moved around, but he still built Lucasfilm from the ground up while doing that. So, JJ, some people can't do both. Maybe JJ's a better front office person and get someone with more talent to write and direct. Okay. Or, maybe he's a point and shoot director. Here's the script. Don't fuck it up. Don't touch it. Shoot everything on the script. Don't come back and say, yeah, but don't ask me about mystery boxes. Just do what the script says. Think you go with God. There are directors out there, Ridley Scott, James Cameron. I hate him. I personally find James Cameron to be detestable. And the reason is this. I think he's an arrogant asshole who thinks far too highly of himself. I don't like guys like that. I would get along with Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott is truly an alpha male. Hearing him talk and seeing the way he directs things and how gritty they are and how just they're full of something that I can't even describe. That is a director. That is a director in the John Ford sense. Francis Ford Coppola. When he was directing movies, no risk was too great. Look at everything he did. The Godfather 2. He took a chance on Al Pacino when they wanted to fire him. Apocalypse Now. He had John Milius write the script. George Lucas actually did a lot on that. Actually George, the newspaper thing, montage for The Godfather. George Lucas filmed that. That's him. That's his fingerprints on The Godfather. You know, they made narrative films the way they're supposed to be made. Um, uh, you know, I can't stand James Cameron. I think, hey Dan, um, I don't know. I mean, all right. Because I don't think. All right, I'm gonna go back over a few things, guys, just because Daniel hasn't heard all this. Um, Doomcock has let it known, and the guys at Midnight's Edge and other places have said, yeah, I said Apocalypse Now, Riptide, basically said that they have heard that Kennedy is either out or on her way out. And I have come up to the delusion, after the delusion, it probably is a delusion, the idea, after looking at the leak on Reddit, that Kennedy is throwing Pablo and the story group under the bus. Basically, go back and look at it. Okay, it's on Reddit. I don't know. Maybe if somebody can find the link and throw it in there so Dan can see it. But basically, what it was it's basically because Doomcock, they knew Doomcock was coming out with this stuff. Basically, it's like Kathy and John get along great. Kathy wants John to take over, like hell she does. A white, straight man, an alpha male, taking her job. Oh, please. Anyway, they get along great. There's no civil war. Bullshit. In one breath, it says there's no civil war. There's a debate, though, about how to tell the stories. Pablo Hidalgo, here we go. You're saying him get thrown under the bus. Wanted a more aesthetic D&D approach. Dungeons and Dragons. I don't really even think that was a thing anymore, but okay. And John and Dave want a more narrative approach, which is what George Lucas does, which is what we want. And that was the extent, but there really isn't. It's a friendly debate. No, it's not. After what Pablo did to Star Wars theory, fucking no, it's not. Jon Favreau basically said, we're bringing back George Lucas. We can't, George Lucas and Grogu, because Grogu, hey, you know what? If Pablo can have two different characters named after him in the High Republic, then George Lucas can have Grogu. Because, I mean, if you look at his name, that's Grogu. The name of the last episode of Mandalorian season 2, The Rescue. Okay, what's being rescued? All right, we've got the story. They go in to rescue Grogu, then they get rescued by a Jedi named Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker. His character's been rescued. He takes Grogu and tells Mando, I will defend the child with my life, but talent without training is meaningless or nothing. And there you go. Okay. That story basically, that whole motif, was an analogy to what they're trying to do to save Star Wars. Okay. And when that scene occurred, everybody was all emotional. Maze was like, you gotta see this, you gotta see it. And no, it's not just about Skywalker rescuing the episode. It's about rescuing Star Wars. Okay? That's why it's called the Rescue. There's several different kinds of things like that going on. And ultimately, it's their message to the fans, we got this, don't worry. Okay? And there's Mad Piranha. Sit down and listen real close. They're trying to save it. Okay? That's why it was called The Rescue. Did you miss anything I just said? Jon Favreau is not doing anything wrong here. Neither is Filoni, to be honest. Okay? So that's what it was. Is they're saying we've got this. Don't worry. We're gonna fix what was broken. And they took the wind out of their sails, out of the story group's sails. The story group wanted all the attention on them because they were about this close to launching the High Republic. And they thought much fanfare, it was going to be a hit, and got laughed right off the building. And they're pissed. So, and I'll tell you something. Pablo, the moment he saw that, knew. The idea, I don't know who said it, but someone said it. I find it hard to believe that Kathleen Kennedy didn't know Luke was going to be in at the end of that. She's the president of Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy doesn't know a whole lot about anything. Okay. Jon Favreau had to keep that a secret or they would have wrecked it. They would have wrecked it. She would have tried to stop it. Okay. No, Andor's still being filmed. As far as I know. So, anyway. Pablo attacks Star Wars theory for being emotional and basically says emotions are not for sharing, which was a message to all of us fans. And Disney, Star Wars Theory has about 3 million subscribers. He's the biggest fan YouTuber, Star Wars fan YouTuber. And Disney was like, you will apologize to him right now. So Pablo sends an email, then tries to call him. Star Wars Theory's like, no. Wouldn't talk to him. And I think it's one of those moments of reality, because Star Wars Theory, Danny has never really had any really bad relation, hasn't really seen the ugly side of the story group. Well, he did now. Okay. And it was an eye-opening experience. All right. Very interesting how that took place. And Pablo was pissed because, Luke, sucked out all the oxygen. No one cared. It was in it. I'll tell you something. If Luke hadn't shown up, if they'd have waited till the next episode, next season, it still wouldn't have mattered. High Republic is garbage. Everybody knows it. You can go over and look on Star Wars, Disney books on Facebook or wherever they're talking about it, and you'll see people, I can't wait to read this. And it's gonna be like, so? Yeah, and so, the High Republic isn't a hit, and it's not Favreau's fault, it's not Gina Carano's fault, it's not our fault, it's their fault. Because when you look at the half-assed way it was put together, the half-assed writers, the half-assed plan, an initiative should have initiative, and there is none. Okay, that's the problem. That's the real problem. And the reason simply is this. You have to have passion if you're going to do something like this. And there isn't any. They don't care about Star Wars. If you look at Claudia Gray's tweets, she doesn't talk about the lore. She doesn't talk about anything about that. Neither does Kevin Scott, Charles Soule, or Justina Ireland, or Daniel Jose Older, or Chuck Wendig. They don't give a shit about the meaning behind it. All they care about is putting garbage up there and getting paid for it. Trencher, you're right. And, that is where we are. And when you get, and then yesterday, tweets from this January are like, what? First off, we find one. Then we find another self-insert. And it's like, it was either the authors messing with Pablo or them coming up with this character together. Okay. But it's very interesting to me now it comes out. Now we discover it. And I gotta say, and I said this before, remind you guys, it's either gonna happen two ways. Kennedy will leave and then they're gone, or they're gone and then Kennedy leaves. And if that happens, she threw all of them under the bus. But I think they'll wait to after she goes. But Disney knows they've got trouble with Pablo. I mean, the last the incident with not Charles Soule, but Star Wars Theory's last straw. I mean, he actually had the balls to call Star Wars Theory to try to apologize. I would have said no, or I'd have taken the phone call and let him have it. I want him to call me. In fact, Pablo, call me. Call me. All right? Then get ready because I'm going to rip your head off. Okay? I would have absolutely lost my mind on him. And then I would have said, you need to be fired. You need to go away now. We're done. Okay, we're done. And I really honestly think it's coming. And I think they know it. I mean, like, Doomcock said, there's something big happening. And even the doubters are saying, yeah, there is something big going on at Lucasfilm. You can't, I can't go to Target and find decent Star Wars merchandise. The books don't sell. Both of the books that Gray had for sale are still there. Both of the books that Charles Soule had for sale at the other Target, all four of them are still there. It's very telling that the publishing side is really turned into a disaster. I mean, why are they bringing back Heir to the Empire? Yesterday Echo Base said that they felt like they were mapping out this phase of Star Wars and using the Thrawn trilogy, the first one, the one we all love, as its basis. And if that's the case, then the sequel trilogy is gone. People can come on and say, this points right at the sequel trilogy. Well, yeah, if you don't have any comprehension and you didn't know what you were watching, you might be dumb enough to think that. But, at the end of episode 16, season 2 of The Mandalorian, they got Moff Gideon, they got Dr. Pershing, they got all the research, they got Grogu's tissue, and they got Grogu. And if you don't think Grogu's not going to tell Luke about everything, wrong. So anything that might have pointed to a Palpatine clone farm, it doesn't work because of how it was left. Yeah, non-binary transgender twins. Non-binary and trans don't go together. Well, when you look at, they invited all these authors to the ranch and put up the whiteboard and put that shit up there. They wanted dinosaurs, anything that was really diversity, tons of diversity. And their idea of diversity and mine is way different. And I don't, you know, Pablo would have looked at that. George Lucas would have walked in, looked at that, and said, "Get rid of it. Get rid of it." And the reason why is because it's not Star Wars. And it's. I mean, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop now. Waiting. I mean, Doomcock is making another video about the one on Friday. I mean, the one on Friday dropped while the guys on Midnight's Edge were on talking about, I think it was the Reddit leak. And they had Cameron on. And, it's just very, it was all very interesting how that came to happen. I want to say this. People know more about this than they're willing to tell us. And I mean people in our community. Oh, she wouldn't know who Dash Rendar is. I'd hold up Alden Ehrenreich and say, well, he was pretending to be Han Solo. Okay. This counterfeit hobbit twat, get him away from me. But, as of this point, now we find out that Pablo has had himself inserted into the canon. Yeah, until it's decanonized. That's exactly what's going to happen. No one's going to want this. Hey, House Atreides, how you doing? I mean, no one's going to want to have anything to do with this. I mean, here's the deal. If you're going to do publishing with Lucasfilm, everybody has to be on the same page. And I mean everybody. The guys that are making the TV shows, the movies. I don't know what you're talking about, Daniel. Enjoying, oh, that's good, House. Enjoying, or, to avoid being, I don't understand that question. I don't think that when I look at what was going on, oh, I know they will, Trayla has the Purple Heart from all the shit she endured last week. But here's the deal. There's not that many of them. And they don't go to the movies. And they don't buy the merch. Okay, so, and it's going to lead me into talking about the finances again, because a lot of people in the Fandom Menace, even in some of the big channels, don't understand how important it is to look at all of this from the big picture money. I don't know. I don't know. Dan, I really don't. I couldn't say. How important it is to look at it from the money side. You've got a stock price that's hugely artificially high. You've got parks that aren't earning any money. A cruise line that isn't cruising right now. You've got movie studios that really aren't doing that well. And it's kind of feeding off of each other now. And the worst one, at least for the studios, is basically Lucasfilm. When you think about it, you can sit there and say, well, J.J. Abrams, he always makes a big blockbuster hit. Does he? Does he? Does he? The Rise of Skywalker barely made $1 billion. That might be a lot of money to some people, and they might, just look at the number and go, wow, it made a lot of money. No, it didn't. It didn't. You gotta factor in all the things that go into making a movie and take that money that was spent on making the movie out and theater take out, then see what it brought back. Okay, that movie cost about almost $400 million to make because of all the reshoots. I'll let you all dwell on that. And that's the bottom line. So when I hear people say, it made a lot of money, and they quote gross box office. I'm like, gross box office is a number that financial people in Hollywood throw out there to impress people. But gross box office doesn't tell the story, the real story. The real story is, at the end of the day, what was the net? Okay, these movies barely made $2 billion. Disney has invested in they're buying Lucasfilm and the parks, about $7 to maybe $8 billion in Star Wars. Okay, they expected a lot more for their buck, and they didn't get shit. And they've got a company being infested with people like Pablo Hidalgo, who go on Twitter and crap on the fans and crap on the franchise, who don't give a damn if the thing makes money or not. If Star Wars was properly maintained, it would be kicking Marvel's ass. Okay, if we had gotten the Jedi twins, if we had gotten Mara Jade, if we had gotten, Leia Organa, Solo, the Chancellor of the Republic, and, her husband, Han, and her brother, the Grand Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, and some new enemy, maybe an invasion, whatever, because here's the deal. You can build on those characters. There's no place for Rey to go. And Kyle Ron, no one gives a shit except for the Raylos. Hey Darwin, how you doing, man? How you doing? No one gives a damn. And that's really Disney's problem right now, is no one cares about I don't think it's fewer movies. I wouldn't care if 3 Star Wars movies came out a year. You could do one anthology movie. You could do one, an underworld movie or whatever. Then you could do, and then wind up the Skywalker story. And that would be really great. And then go on with something new. Take the kids to the next level. You could have one called Sword of the Jedi, and it would be the Jaina Solo's story. You could do a lot with it, but instead, they had no plan. They had no idea what the fuck they were doing. They hired a director who is so shallow and so apathetic, J.J. Abrams, they couldn't be bothered to actually setting down and actually doing a good story. And then when Michael Arndt said I needed 18 months to do a good script, they fired him. Kennedy fired him. All right. Went out the rails then. Well, Iger, I don't think he cared enough about what they were buying to understand what they were buying. He didn't realize it until too late, until Solo failed so miserably. There are people in the fandom that are saying, that movie's going to get a second look and people will like it someday. No, they won't. No, they won't. Okay? And I've had it up to here hearing that. Alden Ehrenreich was miscast. The script sucked. Pando Lando, which is a stab in the back to Billy D. Williams. You had a script writer who didn't want to be there, who didn't want to write it. I'm going to say this. Lord and Miller, terrible idea to have them directing. Terrible. Horrible. Okay? They didn't belong there. All right? Ron Howard should have been there right away. If not him, get Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott would look at that script and say, get rid of it. Get rid of it. This is trash. Get rid of it. Do something else. Yeah, he saw dollar signs, Prada. He saw dollar signs and he got caught up in it. He really, really did. And it turned out to be very bad for him and everybody else. And it's too bad. It really is, but what are you going to do? But, this whole thing with Pablo and the self-insert, and then you look back, and that was, the tweets that this was all discovered on, it was a long time ago, like 3 months ago, that was found. And that's how much has changed with what's going on. And the firing of Gina Carano has come back, is haunting them. Here's the deal. Remember, and I said this before, I'll say this again. Gina wouldn't post a doctored photo of Bob Iger wearing a Gina Carano did nothing wrong t-shirt just to piss him off. All right? She did that deliberately. That's another thing. And if you don't, like I said before, if you don't think that if you think they're not talking to her, yeah, exactly, Matt Piranha. You're wrong. They want her back. And I guarantee you it's because somebody named Larry Fink said, you get that girl back, you fix this problem, or we're going to the board. We're going to the shareholders. We're going to call it an emergency meeting of the shareholders, and we're going to fix this. Because it's either Chapek and Iger's heads, or it's Kennedy's. Who do you think loses that fight? And ultimately, the person who really loses that fight, and he's too goddamn dumb to know it, Pablo Hidalgo. That's who. Mr. Hidalgo. Okay? All right. Guys, I've been on for almost an hour. I will talk to y'all later. I'm done. I got to take the dog out, play with him, go for a walk, get him moving and grooving. So you guys be good. I'll see you later. Leave me a comment about stuff, whatever. And if anything happens, I'll be back. See you around the galaxy, guys.